Hello and welcome to today's teaching. Here is Pastor Joe.
Hello and welcome to our study today. If you've been with us, you know that we have been studying the letter Jude 11th verse, where it talks about the warning to the three different men or different types. One is Cain, the way of Cain. The other one is the era of Balaam, and then the third is the rebellion of Korah. And so today we want to look at Balaam. If you were with us, if you've been with us in these studies, you noticed that last week we spent all week on the way of Cain and talked about how it was two-edged. There was one side that was works to please God and make Him happy with you, and works to go your own way, do your own thing. And we talked about that in detail. And so if you haven't heard that, then I suggest you go back and look at that. I think it'll help you to catch up and then help you with the rest of our study. So anyway, today we want to look at the error of Balaam. Now, it's interesting that Cain is mentioned 3 times in the New Testament. And anytime God says the number, if He tells you something once, it's important. Twice, it's very important. 3 times, this is extremely important. So when He tells us that 3 times anything, then we need to pay attention because it's extremely important. There also, if He mentions people's names 3 times, find out what that's all about. And we did last time. We looked at Cain, and here we're looking at Balaam, and Balaam is mentioned 3 times in the New Testament. But we'll get to that in this study. But this morning, or today, I should say, we just want to look at the beginning, break it down, and just find out who Balaam was. So if you turn with me to the book of Numbers, chapter 22. 22. I was right the first time. 22. Yep, but anyway, sorry about that. Anyway, 22. 22 starts off about telling us how Balaam is, and tells us and introduces us to a gentleman by the name of Balak. Now, Balak was a king, and he saw the children of Israel come into the land, and they were numerous. He said there was this, sound on the seashore. I mean, they were just huge, numerous amount of people, and he needed Balaam to come and curse them, because he said, I know whoever you bless will be blessed, and whoever you curse will be cursed, and so I want you to come and curse this people so I can defeat them. There's too many for me to defeat without some kind of help, and you're the only one to give the kind of help I need. So he sends his messengers to Balaam with money, and told them that we want you to come and curse this people. So we'll pick up in chapter 22, in verse 10 says, And Balaam said unto God, let's back up here to verse 8. And Balaam said to the men who were sent to him, Lodge here this night, and I will bring you word again, as the Lord shall speak unto me. And the princes of Moab abode with Balaam. So these guys are waiting for him to give them an answer. And so he said he was going to go to God and talk to the Lord. So in verse 9 it said, And God came to Balaam and said, What are these with thee? Or who are these men with thee? Now, understand something, church. When God asks a question, He's not looking for information. First time I realized that, it was like, wow, yeah, He's not looking for information, because your question, you ask yourself, why would He ask me a question? He's supposed to be God. He's supposed to know everything. Well, He does know everything. But the thing is, He wants to see. He's not looking for information. He already knows what's going on. He just wants you to rehearse it to Him. He wants to see if you really know what's going on, so you can see what's going on inside of you. That's usually why He asks questions. So in verse 10 it says, And Balaam said unto God, Balak the son of Zippor, king of Moab, hath sent unto me, saying, Behold, there is a people come up out of Egypt, which overcometh the face of the earth. Come now, curse them, peradventure I shall be able to overcome them and drive them out. God said, now here's the thing, God said unto Balaam, Thou shalt not go with them, thou shalt not curse the people, for they are blessed. Now see, if you remember our study, we talked about one of Balaam's problems it was twofold. One was that he was trying to curse what God had blessed. And we'll talk about that later on in this study. But he was saying, they're blessed. You can't curse them. And Balaam rose up the morning. He said to the princes of Balak, he said, go to your land, for the Lord refused to let me go. And so they went back home. Then later they come back. If you read the rest of it, they come back. They come back this time, different guys come back. Guys more higher up in the pecking order, as it were. Real princes. And they went, and they had more money. Actually, they came back with whatever you want, you got. So you see the temptation here, the ante's up, the stakes are up. Now God has already said, no, don't go. But Balaam goes back to God anyway. And this time, he changes it. Here's what he says. And Balak, and he said, and God came, verse 20 says, God came to Balaam at night and said unto him, if the men come to call thee, rise up and go with them. But yet the word which I shall say unto you, that shall thou do. So you see, Balaam, before we get any further, let's look at who Balaam is. His name, as I told you before, name denotes character. His name means Lord of the people, destruction of the people, foreigner and a stranger. He was trying to prostitute the gift of God for money. That's exactly what it was, because it said God spoke to him, so he had to be a prophet of God. So God had used him in the past, but now he's wanting to use this gifting for money. One of the things I've learned in the years of ministry, church, is that there's three things that trip up ministers. Actually, it's not just ministers, but it's in life as well. But usually the ministry is where this is most prominent. And those three, and I learned this in my first Bible school I went to. It really has stuck with me since then because I noticed it to be true. Ministers usually trip up with either the gold, the glory, or the girls, or guys, whatever case. But anyway, gold, the glory, the three G's. That's what usually causes ministers to mess up. I've seen that so many times in the 40 plus years I've been with the Lord and around the ministry. That's what I've seen. That's usually it's one of those three that causes ministers to slip up, to mess up, get in trouble. And so in this case, it was the gold. He wanted money for his gift. And so he goes, and God says, I already told him, no, don't go. But here in this case, it's God who is tells Balaam not to go, not to do the bidding of Balak. You see, he said, don't go. But the second temptation that Balaam got, was even greater temptation than his first temptation. And so here God says something that's interesting. He said, go ahead and go. Now, he'd already told him not to go, but you see, Balaam's heart was to go. He wanted to go. Why? Because he wanted the prestige and the honor and everything's going to come with this. If you read that, he said, I'll give you anything you want. Here's a king saying, you come curse him, I'll give you anything you want. That was exposing Balaam's heart through his greed for profit. And so therefore God said, go ahead and go. But you can't say anything unless I speak through you. You're not going to be able to say something unless I say it through you. So, he's not going to be able to curse him. He's already told him that. But he says to go anyway. And so here we have this prophet going out. He's seriously bent on doing things his own way. Just like Cain wanted to do it his way, here's Balaam wanting to do it his way. So God is setting the stage here for something mighty, mighty powerful. And so as we continue to look at this, we're going to see exactly what God's planning, exactly what God has in store for this prophet. So, help us to understand that we don't want to prostitute the giftings that God has given us, no matter what it might look like, no matter how enticing things may be. We want it to be humble with our gift and our talent, because as one radio personality says, it's talent on loan from God. And that's exactly right. So, till the next time, be blessed. I want to thank you for watching today. I hope that we were a blessing. If we were, then please leave a comment or call the number listed below. Until next time, always remember, God's grace is bigger than your sin. Have a good day.